CNBC just confirmed that between 30 and 46% of enterprise AI token usage at US companies is flowing to Chinese models. Not a small startup using a free model. Enterprise companies. Large corporations. Production workloads. The reason is simple: price. And US AI labs are not fixing it. Here is how Chinese models captured the middle of the US AI market. Yesterday, every major AI lab launched a public model. GPT 5.6. Grok 4.5. A historic day for releases. But launches are not the same as usage. Today's story is about where enterprise dollars are actually going. And the data says something uncomfortable for US labs. A meaningful share of real production workloads already run on Chinese models. Not later. Right now. Let me give you the CNBC number exactly. 30 to 46% of enterprise AI token usage at US companies is flowing to Chinese AI models. That is not consumer chatbot traffic. That is Fortune 500 companies. Banks. Retailers. Running Chinese models on production workloads. In the median case, roughly 1 in 3 enterprise AI tasks now runs on a Chinese model. In the high estimate, it is closer to half. This is not a forecast. CNBC's investigation says this is happening right now, inside company infrastructure you would recognize. Picture that range as a bar. 30% at the low end. 46% at the high end. Even the low end means almost a third of enterprise AI already runs outside US models. Here is why this is happening. It is not ideology. It is economics. For most enterprise tasks, you do not need frontier performance. Routine summarization. Code completion. Data extraction. Customer support drafting. These are not hard problems for a modern model. Chinese models handle them for 60 to 90% less cost. And the performance gap is small. Within 5 to 10 percentage points of frontier US models. For a high-volume task, that gap barely matters. The cost difference matters enormously. Multiply a small quality gap across millions of tokens a day. The math tells procurement teams exactly what to do. Look at the actual price gap. US frontier tiers sit at $5 to $10. Chinese mid-tier models sit near 14 cents. That is not a discount. That is a different market. There is a specific technique driving this. Enterprises call it the advisor model. A cheap Chinese model handles the bulk of daily tasks. It only escalates to a frontier US model when a task actually needs it. Complex reasoning. High-stakes decisions. Edge cases. Everything else stays on the cheap tier. Think about what that structurally means. The Chinese model becomes the default. The US frontier model becomes the premium exception. That is a complete inversion of how most people assume enterprise AI actually works. Here is the comparison that matters. Roughly 5 to 10 points of performance gap. Against 60 to 90% of cost gap. That trade is not close. Here is the implication that should worry US labs. US frontier labs are pricing themselves out of the middle of the market. They can defend the premium tier. $5 to $10 per million tokens. Frontier-only workloads. Hard reasoning. High-stakes use cases. But the middle tier, the largest tier by token volume, is going to Chinese models. Not slowly. Already. This is not a temporary pricing gap. It is a permanent structural split in the market. Premium goes to the US. Volume goes to China. If you run enterprise AI infrastructure, here is the practical takeaway. Audit your own token usage today. Which tasks actually need frontier performance? Which ones are routine enough for a cheap advisor model? Most companies are overpaying for tasks that do not need it. If you are a US AI lab, the warning is direct. Competing only at the top is not a full strategy. The middle of the market is being taken. Right now. This is not a future risk. It is a current fact, according to CNBC's own reporting. 30 to 46% of enterprise AI usage already runs on Chinese models. US labs built the best frontier models in the world. And they are watching the middle of their own market get taken on price. The AI price war is not coming. It is already inside company infrastructure. Subscribe for daily AI coverage. Comment: does your company already run a cheap advisor model for routine AI tasks? Tell me what you are running today, I will tell you where the savings actually are.